I feel like a lot of people talk about joining the military, but not enough people talk about what happens after. After the deployments, after the structure, after the friendships, after possible relationships, marriage, and just overall the military routine. Essentially, when real life just hits you all at once. I thought after getting out, my life was supposed to be getting easier. I automatically felt like civilian life was almost going to be like way less stressful and easier to navigate. Just, I guess, peaceful. But in a lot of ways, getting out of service, I grew up even more than I thought the military made me grow up. And it forced me to completely just rebuild myself and my life.
High volume.
If you guys are new here, hi, my name is Aria Wright. I recently disappeared off of YouTube for a few years trying to get my life together. Over the course of my last few videos, I've kind of went over how I got married so fast, why I got married so fast, how my divorce ended. But I want you all to realize another huge part of my story is not only my divorce and my marriage, but it's also the military. So I joined the Navy when I was, I want to say 19, 20 years old. I went straight from high school. I was in ROTC for 4 years in my high school, which is like a junior military program. Never thought of actually joining the military up until my senior year. I just took the elective because I didn't want to do gym. So my senior year, I had plenty of friends that actually started talking to recruiters, Marine recruiters, Army, but mainly just Marine and Navy recruiters because that's what my ROTC class was based off of. And so I was like, okay, so I don't have a scholarship. My grades are not the absolute best. You know, I have A's and B's, but it's not scholarship money. And I don't play the best in the sports that I've played in high school, so I don't have a scholarship for that either. What can I do to go to college and not have to pay? Probably take the military seriously. I already know basic knowledge. Why not join like the rest of my friends in ROTC? And so that's what I did. Talked to a recruiter, joined the military, got in a boot camp, and here we are. I didn't just join because of college. I also joined because the thought of going into college with just a student loan and having to pay that back, that was a nightmare for me. No offense to anyone that does that. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do. But to me, that was a nightmare. And I was like, I'm not going to first walk into my adulthood with debt. It's not for me. So I joined mainly because of college, but then I also joined because the recruiters were giving all the good talks about the Navy and how the Navy is the branch that travels the most. And I'm like, 2 for 1. Why not? And even before I joined, I had no clue of any of the benefits that the military offers once you're out, when you're in, but especially once you're out. And little did I know, right before boot camp, I was going to back out. Thankfully, my mom pushed me to go to boot camp because the military, the Navy, has completely changed my entire life. Those who don't know, when I was in service, I went in as a PAC seaman. A PAC seaman is basically someone who, I didn't score the best on my ASVAB, and there was jobs I could pick, but it wasn't jobs that I wanted. So instead of having to retake the ASVAB and wait longer to go to boot camp, I just decided to stay within my DEP program that I was in and just do this PAC Seaman program that my recruiter told me about, which is basically like going on board without actually having an official job. And once I got on board, most people who are PAC Seamen end up working with the boatsmen. That wasn't my case. I got put in supply department and I had a great time in supply department. I worked alongside the logistics specialists, the LSs. Then I moved over to hazmat at one point, became the president of a committee. I also worked alongside MWR. That was a program I was in for 6 months and did minimal work. I literally set up events for people on board, morale warfare really, ice cream nights, game nights, just all the fun stuff on board. I made so many friends and people who I consider family, even still to this day. And I can't say the same for my life now. I'm gonna get more into it. But one thing about the military is you are consistently around these people day in and day out. So they become the only people you have. You're away from family, you're away from, back home friends and all of that. You work long hours together, you work in stressful environments together, you joke around together, you trauma bond together out of all the stress you are going through. Nobody in the military, even with the smallest job ever, someone is going through something. That is just the course of the military. It just comes with it. With the friendships I made on board and being able to travel with these people, live life day in and day out with these people, I had no clue how much I'd be affected after I got out of service when it came to connecting with people and establishing friendships in my now adulthood. Going from high school, I had classes with people, and then going into the military, And then now I'm here out on my own. With that, it's made me realize that I do miss the military so much in so many ways, not for the trauma, but for the trauma bonding and the friends I made. Being in your 20s, getting out of the military, but just in general, being in your 20s, leaving high school, leaving college, and making friends, I'm guessing especially if you didn't go to college, but making friends is so much harder than I would have ever thought. After leaving the military, I got married. And so then being stationed with him, because he was active duty, it was like I didn't have any friends. I had no life. He was the only life I had other than him and his family. I don't think enough people talk about how hard it is in general connecting with friends in your 20s, and especially coming outside the military. I'm young. I'm 25, but when I got out, I was 23. And yeah, being that young and experiencing not only the military, but then marriage and then divorce, it really makes connecting with people even harder. People that I can connect with and people that can understand where I'm coming from in life and my life experiences. For example, at work, I am the youngest in the office. When I go to the VA, I'm always the youngest person walking in for my appointments. And sometimes I can tell, like, some of my coworkers look at me like, if I haven't really experienced life yet, you could just tell with the looks or the tone they give you when they correct you on something. They treat me like, oh, she's young and she's still figuring life out. I mean, aren't we all? But like, come on now. You don't know me. I don't know you. When we do have conversations at work and we get to chit-chatting and laughing and they find out I'm a veteran, I get the same reaction almost every single time. Mind you, these people are always like 40, 50 years old, and they always give me the, oh, that makes sense now with the way you carry yourself, the way you talk, the way you respond back to us, the way you question things without having like a fear. Like, it's like, yeah, I'm not a child. I've been through some shit. When like I go to the barn to go line dancing and then I meet people and I tell them my age and that I've been in service and they're like, that makes so much sense. I don't know what people assume about me beforehand, but after I tell them I was in service, it like something just always clicks for them. And I would say I am the way I am because the military forces you to grow up faster. I can't say that for everybody who served or who's in currently. While in service, people tend to struggle financially a lot. I went through a lot of that. When I say a lot, I mean I was broke. Your girl was dead broke while married. Dead broke. Kind of going back to my coworkers and people that are usually older than me, and then I tell them that I'm a veteran. It also comes with this weird dynamic where older people don't always take you seriously because of your age. If you're a veteran out there, you know what I mean. Like I said, we're usually the youngest in the room once we get out, especially for those who joined straight after high school and didn't wait, till our 20s, but we joined when we were 19 or 18, 19, 20 years old. And then we get out after just one contract. We tend to be the youngest in most rooms, which I do understand to a certain extent. But I just think that people forget that life experience does not come at an age. There are people younger than me that's experienced way more. There are people at 50 years old who haven't experienced anything. Age does not calculate experience. And with that, in a work environment, once you're outside the military, that can unintentionally create tension in the workplace. A lot of veterans have disability or, there's just benefits out there for veterans, which I'm gonna get to a little bit more in a minute. But I think when people in a workplace see that, oh, this person, they're a veteran, that's probably why they act or talk the way that they do. And due to all the benefits that veterans can get after you get out of service, and then you're working at these jobs, we can tend to have the thought process of, I don't have to be here. And it's not in a lazy way. It's just like, I don't have to be here. Because at work, there are people around me with families, children, husbands, wives, parents who are depending on them financially. And that's why they have to show up to work every single day. When it comes to myself, I am only responsible for me. I have no kids. I am in my mid-20s. I am in a relationship, but it's not like I'm married, or I don't even have like a parent to have to take care of. It is literally just me. All the money I make, whether it's from VA benefits, BAH, or, just my paycheck at work, it all goes right in my pocket. It doesn't have to go out the door to anyone else. Due to now the way that I've been able to structure my life after 3 years of now officially being out of service, I've been able to get ahead of the game financially in so many ways. And I thank the Lord every day for it. Because of my age, I think people don't expect me to be in the place that I am financially. And, you know, once they start seeing what I have in my life or things I'm able to do, it's kind of just like those looks. And especially in your workplace, there's those looks or those conversations that you can hear or see happening between other coworkers. But I don't mention my financial or the veteran benefits for the sake of bragging, because like I mentioned, there was a point in my life where I struggled financially. Like I said, genuinely broke. If you watched my last video, then you would kind of know. I briefly went over how I wasn't working and how my husband was taking care of all the bills, but it put me somewhat in a relaxed way that he was taking care of bills, but at the same time that it made me feel forced to go out and try to seek work that was high paying and not just minimum wage. And it was really hard to find stable work because, you know, when you get out the service, they tell you like, oh, you know, veterans get certain points on your resume or whatever. No one cares. No one really cares that you're a veteran. If you're not working for like the VA or something, no one truthfully gives a damn if you're a veteran. And I don't mean like people out in the world, I mean jobs. I remember that due to how broke we were, how broke I was, I would never fill up my gas tank all the way. I would go fill it up, put $20 in it, back then it was like put $10 in it here and there, maybe $5 in it. I wasn't able to go into a grocery store, being able to just pick up anything I want and putting it in the cart without having to be like, okay, is this a dollar item? Is this great value? You know, like just that mindset of like having to save every single penny that you have for your bills and just going paycheck to paycheck. And so then when my VA compensation started coming in, it genuinely changed my life. Not in a lazy way or now I'm spoiled way, but in a survival way. The VA finally compensating me for my disabilities that I have. It really just took this strain off of me. It took the chip off my shoulder. You know, when you're financially struggling, everything becomes a little bit more irritable to you in life. Not everyone is probably like that, but I know for the people around me who are struggling financially, it can make you irritable because you're working day in and day out to survive. But yeah, it just gave me so much more breathing room when it came to my bills, groceries, filling up my gas. I, to this day, have never filled up my gas just halfway. I've filled it up all the way, and that is a huge blessing from God. Life now, after getting out and finally getting to a point of financial stability, it's allowed me to start building my life. One thing I had always wished to be able to do was like go out to dinner with my friends or family and completely just take care of the bill and be that person to like go secretly go and pay before, you know, dinner or lunch or whatever was over. And everyone's like, wait, you paid? And now I've been in a position to be able to do that for my friends and for my family and to be able to tip waiters well, to tip, you know, just people who come to my home, my apartment, whatever, to come and fix things. Like, it's just put me in such a mindset to be, I guess you guys get it, to be more free. That's all it is to be free now with my money. And those things might sound pretty small to some people, but when you've been struggling so much in a financial way, that is like the biggest thing in life. That is the biggest blessing in life, is just financial freedom. Now, money can't buy you happiness, but it buys you more time, which overall can buy you more happiness. Right? I don't know. That's how I see it. My military benefits have even given me so much financial freedom to even start taking more risks on myself. That's part of how I was even able to start my small business that I have. I rent out washers and dryers to people. Even though my business is still growing, I'm just genuinely proud of myself for even trying something outside my norm. If you know me personally, you know that like down the line, I do want to open up a laundromat. So being able to now start this small business of washer and dryer rentals, it's just, you know, put my foot in the door for getting to my long-term goal, which is amazing. Like I said, I give all credibility to the Lord, all to the Lord. I was even able to completely pay off my car. Now I have a brand new car that I'll probably be able to pay off within the next year to 2 years. That's really fast to pay off a brand new vehicle. My life is just so shocking now to the point that the younger version of me, even the version of me that didn't want to go to boot camp, you know, days before I was getting shipped off to Jacksonville for boot camp, she would be so proud. She would look back and be so proud. So although I've mentioned a lot of struggles so far on after getting out of service, there's also so many positives if you plan your life out the right way. And now my overall focus in life after service is long-term freedom. I'm currently in my apartment right now, but I soon want to buy my first rental property. Yeah, it's been a few years since I've been out, but like I said, I struggled financially. And even though now I'm in a much better place and I could have bought a home last year, I want it to be put in a place where I got the smaller things, the smaller wants, as in upgrading my vehicle and, paying off any credit card debt, which that was already long paid off for, paying off the last vehicle, whatever. I wanted to make sure that before I buy my first property, I'm in a position where there is nothing going outside the door other than simple things like grocery, Wi-Fi, my phone bill. Like, I didn't want any huge obligations. Even with soon getting my first rental property, I still want to continue growing my personal business, the ability to travel more, take care of my health, and just create a peaceful life. Where I'm at now, going back on the traveling, I travel out of the country once a year. It's usually with my mom. My boyfriend, my mom, and I are going to Canada in July, actually. And throughout the year, I also do small trips, whether it's to other little states or wherever, staycations. But I try to do at least 3 different things per year. And now I'm in a position where I can do those things freely, and it feels awesome. I just want to be in a place where not only am I okay to not look at every little price tag, but in a place where I can then give back to others as well, and to be able to put some of the stressors of everyday living onto other things instead of it being about money every day. Another thing that changed a lot for me after getting out of service was my body and health. While I was in service, there's a lot of moving around, going up and down ladder wells, walking down long piers. If you were in service, you know what I mean? Like, there's just a lot of body movement, even on lazy days. And so then coming out of service and getting sedentary desk work or being married and being a stay-at-home wife, there's little to no movement. And so I had gained so much weight. And although part of it was from not moving around as much as I did while I was in service, a lot of it came from stress within my divorce. Well, my marriage at the time. A lot of it came from that. I was holding on to so much weight from stress and just not putting myself first within my marriage. Going back to, if you have or have not seen my last video, my marriage put so much stress on me mentally, and I just don't think that I understood how much stress can play a factor in weight gain. So like I said, I just stopped taking care of myself, stopped prioritizing myself when I should have been putting myself first. Now I am learning how important it is to put your health first and to put yourself first. When I say put yourself first, I don't mean like put yourself before your partner in a marriage. I mean put yourself first in the aspect of health. And not just physically, mentally too. And honestly, I think after my marriage ended and my time in service ended, I kind of briefly went over this already, but it was also really hard to just truly find people I could connect with and relate to. At that point, I had already experienced military life. I experienced getting married, getting divorced, having those financial struggles in adulthood, all before me now being 25. And I'm not gonna lie, it's changed the way I connect with people. It's changed the way I see people. It's changed the way that I talk to people that I grew up with in high school. That is why I tend to connect with older people. I've always been able to actually connect better with older people. Before I joined the military, if I was a freshman in high school, I was hanging out with seniors, or when I was in service, the best friends that I had were like in their 30s. And then now, where I work, my best friend at work is in her 40s. Well, she just turned 40. Now that brings me to my current relationship that I'm in. My current relationship now is very, very different than any relationship I've ever been in or had overall when I was younger. There's more peace, more stability, more emotional maturity. And honestly, after everything I've experienced in such a short amount of time of adulthood, that peace in a relationship became way more important to me than it was before. I also still struggle a lot when it comes to social environments due to my mental health, but just my prior experiences. I don't drink. Well, I don't really drink. Even when I turned 21, never took a shot. To this day, I've never had a shot, never had a alcohol, straight liquor, whatever, mixed drink beverage before. I stick to my wine and champagne. That's all I ever drink. Because of that, I don't go to bars. And, in bars, people tend to socialize and make friends, or just a place where you can meet new people and have conversations. And without being in environments like that, it's very hard to make friends. Civilian life can feel extremely lonely sometimes. But honestly, even through all the hardships, I'm grateful for everything the military has taught me. It's made me resilient. It's made me more disciplined, taught me how to survive very, very uncomfortable situations. And I think for a long time, I was just surviving, and now I'm finally able to actually live. I think life outside the military is less about who you used to be and more about figuring out who you are now. But I think I'm still trying to figure that out every day. There's always more to learn. There's always more to change. But yeah, I just want this video to feel honest, not overly emotional like the last videos, not fake positive, just real talk about, my life now. And if any of you guys relate to this, please let me know in the comments. You guys know I'm very good at responding based off my last video. A lot of people have been in the comments stating their opinions. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But yes, if you're watching this video and you can relate to anything I said in this video, especially my veterans, comment down below, DM me. Let's talk. Let's be friends. I don't have any friends. Let's be friends. Once again, thank you guys so much for all your support and love. I love you, and peace.